Got it.
To Oilersnation Radio, a member of the Nation network of podcasts and delivered by DoorDash. 1 hour of straight hockey talk with Dan, Rick, Tyler, and Bag Milk starts now.
I'm not editing that out, Dan.
That's fine.
What did you do? I said, been looking at the screen.
When I
and then you apologized, and the listeners heard that as well.
Well, hey, I was apologizing to each and every one of you listeners. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Ding dong, Dan's here. So just like the rest of us, it's episode 161 of Oilersnation Radio. I'm Bag Milk, Tyler Yaremchuk, Rick, Nation, Dan. We're all here. We're going to break down the week that was in the world of the Edmonton Oilers. We've got one preseason game left to get to before the big dance starts. We've got predictions. We've got player updates. We've got hot and cold performers. I've got another round to ask the idiots. Lots to get to. So let's start with the Sherwood Ford Giant question. First, check them out on Twitter at Sherwood Ford, on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _the Giant. There's some beautiful new vehicles going up. If I wasn't patiently waiting for either my 1987 Ford Escort GT or my Ford Bronco, I might go buy one of those F-150s that they've been posting on Instagram, but I'll wait. My parking spot's still empty, Sherwood Ford. I know you hear me. Tyler, what is this week's Giant question?
This week's Sherwood Ford Giant question of the week. By the way, Sherwood Ford is the new sponsor of the Giant pregame show, which will air every Oilers game day live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook with myself and Caroline Schved.
When does that go up?
Every Oilers game day. 1 o'clock.
How long? 1 o'clock. Okay. There you go.
Yep. All right. This week's Sherwood Ford Giant question, the season. We'll have actual regular season hockey to talk about next time we do one of these podcasts, which is awesome. The Giant question: what is your boldest prediction for this Oilers season?
Boldest prediction for the 2021-22 Edmonton Oilers season. I've got a couple. I know the boys have got a couple. I've got some feedback from some listeners. So I'm going to jump in with those first while the boys are collecting their thoughts on their predictions. Rowway on Twitter, ROWWAI. He says, Mike Smith will score a goal this season. Book it. Bold prediction. I like that.
Right, last night.
He went last night. He was probably 6 feet wide, but you know what? He had more than enough length to get there. I like this prediction. Mike Smith with a goal. Shroom Sauce. Hell of a name there on Twitter. I like that handle. Shroom Sauce. He's got a handful here. Some bold predictions. Okay. Mike Smith will score a goal. I think a lot of us have that front of mind after last night. Jesse Puljujarvi will score over 30 goals. That's a big one. Mcdavid will get over 125 points this season. The Oilers will win the Pacific Division and is not particularly close. We have seen Zack Kassian's exit. I will frighten my cat 200 plus times with game day hollering. That's Shroom Sauce checking in with a handful of predictions here. Welcome to Oil Country. Straight vibing. This guy's all about the vibes on Twitter. RD will be solid enough and we will win the Pacific. Is that a bold prediction? I don't know.
I think it's bold to say they'll win the Pacific. I don't think it's the only one in there that definitely wasn't bold was 125 for McDavid. Like that's what he should be putting up next year.
Yeah, that's like basically what he would have put up had it been a full season.
He's playing right-handed, I guess.
Last one we're checking in on Twitter. This one's from Bobby Brizzle. It says, Dad will lead the team in power play scoring. I like that one from Bouchard. I like that one a lot. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen. Not with Tyson Barrie around and Darnell Nurse getting some reps in there too, but I do like that one a lot. Tyler?
I mean, I took that as Bouchard's going to lead the team in power play scoring like more than McDavid.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's tough.
It makes sense.
Lock.
It's either Bouchard or Brendan Perlini will lead the team in scoring. Yeah. That's what I'm looking at. This one comes in from Angus Hout. Mikko has the best year of his career and finishes top 6 in Vezina voting. There is a bold prediction for you. Now let's get to the boys on the podcast. I'll go ahead and start this one off. Jesse Puljujarvi will have more goals this year than Patrick Laine. There you go. Bold prediction. Ooh. Tyler?
That's spicy. I like that one. I like that one a lot. I mean, I think Laine's, potentially due for a bounce back, but I think Puljujarvi in the spot he's in could definitely get more than 30. And when you look at the supporting cast Laine has in Columbus, like I like that bold take. That's a good one.
I got some more too. What do you got, Tyler?
I had one that was Puljujarvi based. I was going to say he gets 35 goals, and then I was going to morph it into I think Puljujarvi and Hyman will combine for at least 60 goals this year. Is that bold, or is that too not bold?
I don't think that's bold. I think that's tepid. That is a lukewarm take.
So 70 goals for Puljujarvi and Hyman, would that be bold?
That's more bold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bold.
Then that's what I'll go with.
Okay. Tyler's on the board with 70 combined goals for Hyman and Puljujarvi. I'm in with Puljujarvi scores more goals than Line A this season. Rick, you're next up. What do you got?
Well, I have to say, I think Shroom Sauce there took like everything off my list. I literally had here Puljujarvi over 30 goals. He comes up with that one. I said Kassian's going to get moved in season. Drop that one. But I will take another one that is a little bit further, and I will say that you'll see the Oilers in the Western Finals.
Ooh, I like that. We're getting bold here on the preseason. Nation Dan, your first bold prediction of the year.
Well, I'm gonna go and add 10 points to the prediction there from what was his name?
Shroom Sauce. And say McDavid has 135 points. I said that on August the 4th, and I'm sticking with it. 135 points for McDavid this year. Connor looks like a freak too. Last night he only had 2 points, but it was almost comical that he only had 2. Next up for me, I don't know how many you boys got, but I'm going to go to Mikko Koskinen. Between the pipes, I'm going to say the feel-good story continues. Mikko Koskinen finishes the year with a 915 save percentage. Last year he was an 899, so that's a sizable bump. Tyler, you're next up.
I like that. I think, back in that routine of him and Smith going, back and forth, splitting things a little bit more evenly. I don't think that's a stretch at all right there. I am going to go to the blue line, and I will say that by the end of the season, Darnell Nurse's regular partner will be Evan Bouchard.
I just need that to happen. I agree. That's a bold take considering he's starting on the third pairing, probably, lower minutes at least to start, but I just need that one to happen. Rick, you got another one?
Tyler's delivery on that one was amazing, by the way. He just kind of
he's a professional.
Floats it out there. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Tyler's a professional. That's why he does a pregame show with Caroline Javed. Rick, you got any more predictions?
We're going to see Connor McDavid do something that we haven't seen anyone do in a very, very long time, and he's going to go north of 150 points.
Whew. Woo, he sees Dan's 135 and raises him another 15 plus.
I'm with Rick, though. I'm with Rick.
There you go.
Nation Dan, how do you respond?
I'm going to go against what you guys predicted. I'm going to say another goalie not currently within the organization will start 15 plus games for this team this year.
Any ideas on a name? Maybe like somebody like Anton Khudobin seems to be circling around the Oilers a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's usually, for me, it's usually a trade like that where it's somebody you don't see at all. I don't think a lot of people picked Rolison when we went and made a transaction for him.
Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, it's a wild pick, but yeah, we could potentially make that work. What's he making this year?
7.5.
So has to be some money, but yeah.
If Chicago falls out of it, he's a year away from unrestricted free agency. Who knows if Fleury would ever be open to that? But if he wants to chase a ring and Edmonton's in a good spot at the deadline and Chicago sucks, it's a lot of what ifs. But yeah,
Tyler is trading Marc-Andre Fleury to the Oilers. Bold take.
I like it.
How's this one, Tyler? Here's a spicy one for you. And maybe this is just me being an asshole, but I don't have a whole lot of faith here. Mike Smith will have more points when the season ends than Kyle Turris. Boom. Hot take.
No, come on. You're not on the Kyle Turris revenge tour?
I mean, I would love it, but I can't. What is it like? His preseason hasn't just been all that impressive to me. If there's guys that aren't injured, is he in the lineup?
I mean, the guy had 5 points.
He makes the lineup right now. Does he?
I don't know.
Even with Archibald out and Kassian?
Oh, he makes the lineup in that. He's making it over Sevier, I think.
But you got Devin Shore. And then
Lamborghini
Perlini has got to be it. Got to make the team, right?
Yeah, Perlini's on the left side. I don't think Benson's going to be in the lineup opening night unless they shift Fogle to the right side and put Benson on the left side because Cassian's out.
I could see them putting McLeod in Bako to start the year too. I
think they are going to put McLeod and Bako to start the year.
He's had a really quiet preseason.
Yeah, which is disappointing.
Not bad. Just hasn't
not bad. It's just quiet.
There's not a lot of positive, and that's kind of what everybody has been in the preseason. I know we've said it about Turris and whoever else we were talking about before.
Lamborghini.
They haven't been bad. They've been quiet. They just haven't been. We haven't seen a lot of the positives of it. And I think Tippett said the other day like no one's really played themselves off the team, but only a couple of guys that kind of like bumped themselves up.
Well, Do you then not agree that Mike Smith will finish with more points than Kyle Turris?
No, because I think he'll get a couple more opportunities in there.
Watch it happen. Bookmark this podcast, people. If you're listening, and when Mike Smith scores 45 points this year as the Oilers,
Can you imagine Turris still puts up like 18 points, but Mike Smith's just on like some dumb heater. He gets assists like every second game on the power play.
Mike Smith would be like the third highest scoring defenseman in the league by the end of the season.
Watching him bomb passes to the other blue line last night on the power play, he's going to get his points.
Vancouver was out to lunch on half of those plays. They dumped the puck in on Smith half the night.
To him.
They bet on him to be able to make those passes.
Can I give you guys an actual interesting question here? Yes. What number is higher, Mike Smith assists or Mike Smith delay of game penalties? He had 2 assists last year.
How many delay of games did he have though? I'm gonna say delay of game. He fucking fires that baby.
Yeah, but he's pretty good. And I do see him getting up, I could see him getting like 4 or 5 points this year.
Well, this offense changes everything.
You guys are humbled when Kyle Turris finishes the year with 2 points. Mike Smith got 25.
Last year, Mike Smith had 2 assists and 3 minor penalties.
Yeah, but like, were those all clearing the puck over the block, or was he punching with blockers?
I don't know.
Because that is also a Mike Smith patented move where he, like last night when Mike Smith dove into the pile as if he was trying to get a rugby ball or something just to throw a good blocker. It made me laugh out loud. It's the preseason, baby. But Mike Smith is fired up. All right, back to preseason. Back to bold predictions. Again, Mike Smith, more points than Turris. That's where we left off. Tyler, you're next up.
Another bold prediction. I got Bouchard will be on the top pairing. And I got Puljujarvi, Hyman combined for 70 goals next season. What's one more? It needs to be one that I can actually believe. I don't just want to throw something out there. Warren Fogle, Potts 20.
I like that. I'll take that.
I'm going to say it's because,
like 15.
Yeah, like I think he's been in that kind of 15 goal range before. And I'll say that there'll come a stretch where he gets a look with McDavid because of injury or something like that. And they'll move him up for like a 15 game stretch and he'll pot like 7 and we'll be like, holy shit, he's unbelievable. And then they'll stay together for a little bit. Maybe he gets a few more and then, he probably goes back to the bottom 6, but Fogle to get 20. How about that?
So Warren Fogle career high 2019-2020 with the Hurricanes is 13 goals in 68 games. Last year he had 10 and 53. Can he get to 20?
That's actually not even that far off then if he's getting more opportunity here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rick or Dan, any more bold predictions for
I got a few more.
Go ahead, Dan.
I got a few more. I've got Leon not making 100 points this year, but he will be in the 90s. Zack Hyman is our third highest scoring player with 80 plus points.
How dare you?
And Yamamoto with 25 goals.
Ooh.
I think he's going hot this year. People are forgetting about him. Yamo.
How can Yamo get that many goals if Draisaitl isn't putting up points though?
He's putting up 100 or almost 100 points. He's still putting up 90, 95 points.
Sure.
Right?
Fair.
Thanks.
There you go. Bold predictions. If you want to include some, I'm just looking at the Twitter. There's nothing new coming in. ON Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, provided Mark Zuckerberg knows how to work Instagram again.
I'm also going to say Devon Shore gets 15 points plus this year.
Is that a lot for Devon Shore? I have no idea.
Yes. He had 9 last year in 38 games.
Oh, that's doable then. Dave Tippett obviously loves them.
But yeah, that's what I mean. That's where I'm going. I'm betting on Dave's love of the veterans.
Devon Shore, career high, 33 points in 2016-17 with the Dallas Stars. There you go. Again, if you want to chime in, ON Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. We encourage your bold takes. If you also believe that Mike Smith will outscore Kyle Turris, give me a digital fist bump. I'll digital fist bump you back. All right, we're moving along. I got to give some love to DoorDash. It's Friday. Ding dong. You're hungry. I'm hungry. I can't cook. That's what DoorDash is for. And we've got a promo code for you. ON Radio DD gets you 25% off your order. It also gets you free delivery on your first one. So 25% off and free delivery on your first order. And we've also got a Oodle Noodle promo for you as well. If you're in the mood for some nudes, which you should be, if you use Oodle 2021, you will get $7 off your order of $30 or more. I did it the other day. Banana spring rolls, normal spring rolls, hot box, wonton soup, green onion cakes. Just bury yourself in all of it.
And how many times can you do that, Bag Milk?
You can use that 10 times, Dan.
Oh.
10 times. Again, that's Oodle 2021 with our friends at DoorDash. All right, let's look at last night's game against the Canucks a little bit, just because there was some news. Yamo missed last night. He was practicing. Some people in the nation, I was doing some comment moderation in the last couple of days, and people are down on Yamamoto. This is not a great scenario for him to be injured to the start of the season. Hopefully he's playing tomorrow. I just want to talk to you guys and get your take on Kaler Yamamoto. Is he having does he have a lot of pressure on him more than he maybe should, Dan, going into this year after a tough one in 2020?
I think I kind of think he's like the forgotten piece in the top six. Everybody's focused on Hyman right now. Puljujarvi having, his resurgence here and making a lot of the doubters look stupid. The reuniting of Draisaitl and Nuge with Yamamoto. I think that he's kind of the forgotten guy right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean great things for him as it comes to, this season. And you're right. I think that it's going to be a lot of personal pressure to succeed now with this trio that we've seen some fireworks from, but hadn't seen anything really from it last year. So yeah, I think it's that line in general, but I feel like he's kind of the forgotten piece in the top six right now.
Tyler, Yamo's had a quiet preseason. Again, it doesn't really matter overall. He got some chances he just couldn't cash. Do you think there's more pressure on Yamamoto this year, and is it deserved?
Yes and yes. I mean, I'm going to agree with you on both fronts. I think there is some pressure on Kailer Yamamoto this year. He's coming off a down year and he's on a 1-year contract. He's a young player. There are guys in the bottom six and that could realistically take his spot. Warren Foegele and Zach Hyman can both play the right side. Zack Kassian, if healthy, can play the right side. And we know when he's hot, he can be a decent fit with McDavid as well. So if you're Kailer Yamamoto, I think you've got to be sitting there right now and going, man, if the first 3 games of the year don't go well for me, they might be looking to replace me in this top 6. And if they replace me in this top 6, my contract next year is not going to be very good. So I absolutely think Yamamoto should be feeling a little bit of pressure here, and it's warranted because again, this guy rode shotgun with Leon Draisaitl for the majority of last season, and he scored 4 goals in his last 40 games. That's not good enough. And you can sit there and say, yeah, he's a young player. He does a lot of things right. I love Yamamoto. I agree. He does a ton of things right when he's out there. Forechecks hard, creates turnovers. But at the end of the day, if you're not scoring goals and you're riding shotgun with Leon Draisaitl, that's a problem. And that's something the coach will look to change if Yamamoto doesn't start to find the back of the net.
Rick, wrap us up. You're the first person I knew to get a Yamamoto jersey. A little bit of pressure on the kid this year, yeah?
Oh, 100% there is. I mean, you're playing in the top 6 on a team like this with this kind of offense. You definitely have to play your weight out there. At the same time, I will give him a little bit of slack and say, he is young. Only has about a whole season under his belt right now. This point, I get being down on him because we were down on him from last year, and you really not going to do anything in the preseason to change that. So yeah, it's up to him, and it's going to be the first. I'd say it's probably a little more than 3 games, but first 10 games, he doesn't look. If he's not pulling his weight there, things are going to change. So he needs to get going here, but I think he'll be okay in the long run.
I think he's going to be okay too in the long run. It's just there is pressure on Yamamoto to perform. He did a 1-year show me deal, obviously, with his contract extension. And if he doesn't find a way to work with Leon and Nuge this season, having him in the middle 6, in the third line, probably isn't the ideal spot there. So he needs to get it going. Needs to figure it out because a checking line role, while he would probably do well at it, he's relentless on the puck. I don't know that that's the best spot for him. So, Kaler, we believe in you. We just need you to perform, buddy. We need you to cash, but more importantly, get healthy first. Speaking of getting healthy, last night, if you go over to hockeyfights.com front page, Zack Kassian versus Zach McEwan, preseason fight did not end well for Zack Kassian. He was KO'd on the ice last night. Scary scene at Rogers Place. You never want to see a guy get in a fight and then immobile after it when he goes crashing down to the ice. Tyler, what do you make of preseason fights like that? Personally, for a guy like Kassian, he knows he's on the team. I know he wants to get himself going and everybody wants him to be that guy, but I don't see the point in it for an established NHLer like him to get in a preseason fight.
No, it didn't make any sense at all. And we're now getting to the point where Kassian has been hurt in, I believe, his last 2 fights in the NHL.
Eric Branson, he broke his hand or something.
So Zack Kassian, pardon? We are right.
Yeah, that was correct.
Yeah. we talked about Yamamoto facing pressure, like Kassian's facing pressure as well this year.
Immense pressure, I'd say.
He's got to really get going. And man, if you're trying to get into a rhythm and not lose any sort of momentum and not lose your spot on this team, you need to be in the lineup. You can't be hurt. I understand part of his role is to protect his teammates, and that's an important part of his role. And he needs to provide energy, but maybe he's just got to find a way to do it without shedding the mitts. And I get in that role, you need to be willing to do it, but it's just, man, you're clearly in a trend here where you can't drop the gloves without getting hurt. So maybe you do need to find ways to be effective without dropping the gloves. I don't know. It's tough because I understand why he's doing it and I get the mentality behind it. And I understand why you need a guy like Kassian to step in and be willing to do that. But it's just like, it's getting to the point where it's like, man, is it even worth it anymore? If every time you drop the gloves, you're just going to get hurt, like just keep them on and lay a big hit next time you're out there.
The thing that I think that bothered me about last night's fight is it was just one of those ones off the draw. And Zack McEwan, he got tied up a little bit with, I think it was Leon earlier in his shift, but like, it wasn't crazy. I just didn't see the point of an off the draw fight like that with the second last game of the preseason. Again, I love when Zack Kassian's on his game. I remember being in the playoffs against San Jose when he was playing at his best and he was a destroyer of worlds and he scored a big goal on the PK, if I remember correctly. And it was just like, he didn't fight in that game. There was no fighting in that game. He was just being Zack Kassian, throwing his body around and doing the things that create space for the other players on the ice. Rick, you and I both love scraps, but what would you make of a preseason fight that takes a guy down like that?
I think it's just bad luck and it's unfortunate. It's, with a guy like him, he knows what he has to do out there. He hasn't been able to do anything really offensively. He knows that it's got to have to be a physical side of the game. He had an opportunity to have a scrap, and look, it's part of the game. It's part of the role, and it just didn't go his way last night. It's, I'm not going to say that, he's on a roll of, not being able to get through fights without getting hurt, even though it is too, because last night was, he was fine and he was fine going down, right? He hit his head on the ice. Like he wasn't. Yeah. Right. So,
that's fair. It's
a freak accident, man. It's unfortunate. The guy's trying to get himself going. He's trying to get that confidence level up. And these are one of the things he does. And it's bad luck. It's bad luck. It sucks. I know you want to sit there and say he's got to avoid this now. Like maybe this just isn't for him or something, but that's part of who he is. It's part of the game. That's why he was able to do what he was doing in 2017, because in the year he probably had some scraps and it's just part of his game. It is what it is. It sucks, but yeah, it just is what it is, man. It sucks. There's just nothing you can do about it. It's bad luck.
It's bad luck. I just wish he picked a better spot. Like if that was in the regular season, I'd probably understand it a little bit more, but preseason is kind of what grabbed my attention there. I want to turn to a hockey fights perspective. Dan, you posted the fight late last night. What is the hockey fights vibe around a fight like this, where obviously that site, people go there to watch scraps, but I don't think for the most part, anybody wants to see another guy get hurt.
No. And that's the thing. And Rick's 100% correct. And of course I think we can all acknowledge that this isn't even a conversation we're having if this little accident at the end doesn't happen at all. Credit to McEwan for recognizing that it happened, and he was waving for the trainer right away, and you could see he was visibly upset with the fact that it did go down that way. The response from the fans on hockey fights, when you have an incident like this happen, we do see an influx of users come in that are, I would say, anti-fighting at best, and so they come in and they patronize about whether it's a staged fight or preseason or of course these guys are going to get hurt, that kind of response. And then you just get the normal responses of people are mad at Kassian. They don't like Zack Kassian for whatever reason that he's done in the past, whether it's taking out Sam Gagner's teeth or whatever he's upset other people with in the past. So some people just don't like him and they hate it on him. But what I think is the coolest thing is when we get to hear from these guys as to why these fights happened. To me, when it happened, I thought to myself that Lockwood incident with Draisaitl earlier in the game may have been the reason for it. It's weird to not have Lockwood the one fighting, but of course Kassian grabbing a young kid like Lockwood would not have gone over well either. So he grabs McEwan, who's the Vancouver's fighter in the roster that night. So you know, when you watch a show like Pound for Pound from Dropping the Gloves, there's a little tag or a little hit for the company. But if you watch a show like that and you hear these guys talk about why these fights happen, there is reasoning behind it. I know that people say it's a staged fight, but obviously McEwan and Kassian weren't happy with each other before that moment. And so I get it. I understand that, you know, it's the preseason and you don't necessarily want to see a guy put himself into a situation where he can get hurt. But, you know, as Rick mentioned, this is Kassian's job, and it's the reason he's an NHL player right now. It's the reason he's getting paid some of the smoke that he's getting paid. So it's, you know, it's a debate that will continue to rage on, and it continues to get fired up by these kinds of fights and these kinds of accidents that happen.
I don't expect you to give the exact answer, Dan, but like, how many fights was there in the preseason this year? Just a ballpark is fine. I would say it's probably at like a fight per game because of really just because of the Florida Tampa Bay series. Those two teams, if you've missed it, had 6 or 7 fights in the preseason. Yeah, they are not big fans of each other. They had the series last year where it kind of just continues to boil over now into the preseason, and that's when I get really excited about fighting in preseason, because that is just pure hatred between two teams, and some of those guys are just getting introduced to it and they're already excited and amped up about it in the preseason. But yeah, it's been a little bit up from previous years in this preseason. I don't know if that's because these teams are trying to get reacquainted now that they've been separated, some of them since last year with the COVID. But yeah, the preseason is an interesting time, and a lot of the time what you see is young guys that are fighting for that roster spot, trying to show that passion and that excitement. So unfortunate news. Obviously, nobody wants to see a guy go down in a fight, no matter which team it is. Let us know your thoughts as well. ON Radio Podcast, Twitter, and Instagram. If it's not still broken by the time you hear that, let us know your thoughts on last night's fight and the result for Zack Kassian. It's a tough situation for a guy who needs to have a good year, and that's not the start he wants. And all the best to him. I hope he will be okay. Before we change gears, I got to give a shout out to our friends at Cornerstone Insurance. For 90 years and 4 generations, Cornerstone Insurance has been a family and employee-owned business here in Edmonton with all the products you could ever hope for in terms of your insurance, whether that's auto, residential, commercial, or life insurance. They're here for you. And on the left-hand side of the screen at cornerstoneins.ca, again, cornerstoneins.ca, there is a button that says Citizen of the Nation. Click that. Get yourself a little discount on whatever products you need. Last week, we got into a little bit of futures betting. All of us on this here podcast are bettors. We like to throw some money down. I was live betting on last night's preseason game. I am getting into my DGen mode here as the season gets going. My friend Kailer Yamamoto has got some bets that we are going to look at for the upcoming year. And this week, we're looking at just player props, right?
Yeah. Last week, we took a look at some ways you could bet on the Oilers as a team. And this week, I dug up some player props from around the web to see if there's any value on these. And hint, I think there is. I got 4 point totals and 1 goal total. We will start on the point side of thing with Connor McDavid, whose over-under for the year is set at 128.5.
Okay, so that's right in the middle of, that's above old shroom sauce. That's lower than Rick. Around Dan, roughly. I'm taking the over on this one. Life's too short to bet the under, baby.
Fair.
Well, and you can't bet the under against Connor McDavid.
Never.
It's foolish.
Last year, we were doing our points predictions for the 56 game season, and I said something like 89 or 90, and he just made me look dumb. So I'm not doing that again.
Made us all look bad.
Except Dan. I'm betting the over on Connor McDavid this year. What did you say? 128? Easy. That's lunch money. You'll have it by Christmas. Go ahead. Tyler, you're next.
Over. I'm going over as well. I like it here.
I honestly got it by Christmas.
I will say this. I probably should have adjusted these more from what I've kind of seen on the sports books as well, because a lot of them seem pretty low, but this McDavid one is especially low.
Rick, you're next up. Where are you landing on this one? 128.
Oh, that's over all day long. That 120. I know it's a crazy number. I know it's not something we see very often, but we're watching something right now that has not happened in a couple of decades, right? Like, I think he's going to be able to do offensively. I think he's going to put up more points than Sid the Kid was in his heyday. So I think, over all day long.
Dan, I already know what your answer is at, Dan. You're going over?
100% over every day.
Over across the board. Again, if you're following along with us at home, hit us up. ON Radio Podcast. Over under 128 points.
And if you bet on this, you owe us 10%.
Of course.
Legally
Tyler, next up.
Yeah, you got to give us some beer money here. The next one we're going to go to is a goals prop. Leon Draisaitl's over under is set at 46.5.
Shit.
That's
a number right there.
That's a tricky one.
It is.
Leon's hit 50, so he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a tricky one. I'm going to say, you know what? Based on the power play and Tyler saying that the power play is going to be at 75% completion this year, I'm going to say I'm taking the over. He gets to 50.
Really?
Again. Leon's getting 50 again.
I'm going under. I mean, in the last couple of years, in his last 3 years, he's averaged 48 goals per 82 games. So he's going to have to stay perfectly healthy and basically score at the same pace he has for the last 3 years. One of those years was his 50 goal campaign as well. So I think this line is set at a really interesting spot, but
it's a tough one.
It's tough. I'm going under.
How dare you? Scoundrel. Fire Tyler Yaremchuk. Rick, where are you at? What was it? 48 goals?
46 and a half.
46 and a half for Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, it's, you know what? In an Olympic year, he's going to be playing more hockey. There's going to be a lot of travel in the February for him. I could see him missing. I hate doing it. I got to go under.
How dare you? Dan, where are you at? 46 and a half for Leon.
Yeah, so the reason that I went with McDavid at 135 and then I say Leon's not going to break 100 is because I just don't think that they're going to need to be that great this year, because I think the offense around them is also going to be pretty good. So I'm going to say under on that one. I just don't think that Draisaitl needs to score 50 this year for us to be successful.
He doesn't need it. He wants it. He wants it in his
capable
big,
of it.
sexy German frame. I'm the only one taking the over on this one. Again, let us know, Owen Radio Podcast. Again, shout out to Leon Draisaitl, one of the first 3 people named to the German Olympic team.
What an absolute shock that was.
I couldn't believe it.
Tobias Rieder not named to the team.
I thought it was going to be Yui Krupp, but I was wrong. Is Yui Krupp even German? I have no idea. I just said,
he
said her name. Is he? Nice.
Yes.
Yep.
Got that one right. Tyler, what's
Marcel
next?
Gotch.
All right. The next one I got here is Jesse Puljujärvi over under 36 and a half points.
Oh, fucking over all day. What are we talking about?
Over.
He's going to almost get that many goals. What are we, unless he's like running a Cy Young campaign this year, there's no way. Well, he might, but there's no way. He's passing better. He's moving better. He looks comfortable. He looks like he already knows where Connor wants him / needs him to be. Over all day. Tyler?
Yeah, I'm going over as well. And I'm going to pat myself on the back here because when I jumped online to make my season long over under bets, I got this line at 31 and a half, which is like insanity. 36 and a half still. I'm taking the over on this one.
Rick, I've got a pretty good idea where you're going on this one.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like same thing as Tyler, though. I've taken this one already and it was definitely a smaller number, but yeah, no, over all day long. You guys saw that pass, that no look pass to Connor to Hyman at the door. Like, come on, that's easy, man.
Second assists still count, people. Jason Greger wrote about it yesterday at Oilersnation.com. Dan, your thoughts on the Puljujärvi over under?
How can you go below like 40 with the way that this kid shoots the puck? He just shoots the puck every time he has it on his stick. I love it. It's the best. Over every time.
All right.
What else we got, Tyler?
Zach Hyman, his over under for goals this year is set at 30.5. And I can chime in first here. I think he can get.
You're going to need him to, buddy, on your bold
You
prediction.
have to.
Oh, yeah, fuck. I know. Because my bold prediction. No, I'm going to say he finishes with like exactly 30. I'm going under here. We need to mix in some more unders.
Tell me you got peer pressured into making your bet.
Yeah. Otherwise, on Tyler's bold take there, Puljujärvi's going to do some heavy lifting on that one.
Originally, I wanted to say,
according to Tyler.
Originally, I wanted to say 60, and then I got pressured into going up to the 70 mark. I'm going to say under. If I had to bet, I'm not touching this one. Like I have money on McDavid and Puljujärvi, but I'm going under on Hyman.
I would go under on Hyman as well. I'm just worried about those knees of his. I love the way he plays. I've written about it in every single wrap up so far. I've written about him on Random Thoughts. I love the way the guy plays the game. He goes to the areas of the ice that people don't really want to go to, and that's what makes him successful. I'm going to take the under, unfortunately. Rick?
I think he's going to get a little bit over that. He's going to get a lot of opportunity on the power play. There's going to be goals plentiful out there. He's going to be out there a lot. He's going to get a lot of opportunities, especially just because he's that right-handed shot over there. Yeah, I can see him getting 35, no problem.
Nation Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to say the over just because I'm being positive here more than anything. I don't know what that line makeup is going to be like, and I don't know if they slot in somebody else, if that person's going to become just the bang at home kind of goal scorer. Who knows? But I would say every indication of what Zach Hyman brought to the Toronto Maple Leafs says yes, he will go over 30 goals.
Where are we at, Tyler? Are we done? We got some.
I think I got one more here. It's your boy, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, whose over under for points this season is set at 61.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the over on that. I mean, that's on brand though. I got it. You can bet with your heart here, people. That's what risky business is all about. I think that first of all, last year, Nugent Hopkins did not have a good year at 5-on-5. We can all agree with that. Power play was still fine. Power play will continue to be fine. He's going to bounce back at 5-on-5. He's not going to have the same numbers as his rookie season for 2 seasons in a row. Not happening. Over 61? Absolutely. All day. I'd put money on that right now, Tyler. You're next up, Mr. Yaremchuk. This is your question, your answer.
Oh, man. It's tough. It's tough. I was looking into this because I got an article coming out on these this weekend. 60. It's same thing as Hyman, where like I have him kind of pegged as a 60-point guy, and it's like the line is set at a really, really tough spot here. I think I'm going under. Like I think he'll get close, but I'm just. It's tough. It's tough, but I'm going under again. I'm sorry, guys. You've
offended the Shaolin Temple. Rick, you're next up. Nuge over 60. Over under 60.
It's over. It's over. Even last year, I think if he ended up playing 82 games based on his 35 points in 52 games, that's would have been right around there, right?
And in the mix. Yep.
Previous to that, in his big year, 1920, it's 61 points in 65 games.
Yeah, fine.
That's no problem. And go back one more year, he had 69 points in 82 games. I think he's only gotten better in the last couple of years offensively. He's starting to shoot the puck more. I see him up in the 70 range.
Plus, he's going to get all the power play minutes he could ever want. He's going to be playing with Leon.
I'm going fucking over too. I'm putting
peer pressure always wins.
I get where you're coming from, but when I'm looking at these numbers here, it's like 61 and 65, and even like last year, he had a bad year. I don't know the quick math on this, but 35 points in 52 games in an 82 game season, that's really fucking close. So even a bad year, he's pretty much at a 60-point pace right now. I think that's low. I think I can see him getting in the 70s.
Nation Dan, last call on Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Well, I'm really excited for this season because I think that Leon, Nuge, and Yamamoto will be able to stick together a long time. Even if Hyman doesn't work out necessarily at the start, they'll slide Fogle up into that spot in my mind to start. So I really think that the over is possible here. I think that line starts off maybe a little bit slow, but I think they're going to come right back into that form we saw in 2019, where they just seem to click and make it work. And so, or 2019, 2020. So I would say over for sure.
It's a lock.
Yeah.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Lock.
Very, very handsome. Lock it in, people. If you have
Tyler goes from no to lock.
Yeah, we've bullied Tyler a couple of times in these predictions so far, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Can I just go through everyone's picks again here to make sure I have them correct for the graphic? Rick, you are going over on McDavid, under on Draisaitl's goals, and then over on all three of Puljujarvi, RNH, and Hyman.
I'm gonna get fucking for going over and everything.
I hate the fact that I'm under on the Leon one, but the rest of those are right.
Bag Milk, you're going over on everything except Hyman.
Yep.
All right, Dan, you're going over on everything but Draisaitl.
Yep.
And I am going over on McDavid, JP, and RNH, and under on Hyman and Draisaitl.
I think we can all agree the Kool-Aid is delicious.
Oh, it's going down smooth, baby. And I am parched.
This team is good.
That's the thing. It's all offensive questions.
Don't be afraid about backing them up right now. If this team comes out and plays the way they should, these numbers are all very low.
Yeah.
Tyler,
listen, I wasn't ready to be excited for the season, and then I saw Dom Luszczyk put our rankings up pretty high, and I was like, well, he's never done that before, so it's time to get excited.
Tyler, you looked apprehensive about Rick's statement that the Oilers are good. Why?
No, I don't look apprehensive at all. I think they are good. I think it's going to be a lot. We talked about this last week with the division odds. I think it's going to be a lot closer between Edmonton and Vegas than the sportsbooks want to give Edmonton credit for. So yeah, I think they're a really good team, but they're flawed, but they're in a division that is full of flawed teams. Like there is not a single perfect team in their division. Whereas when you go to the other divisions, you can find perfect teams. Colorado is damn close to perfect.
How dare you?
When you even go out to the Eastern Conference, like Tampa Bay is still perfect. The Islanders, I mean, they're maybe not quite perfect, but they're damn close and they're coached well. So every division has a team that looks like they could be a standout cup contender. I don't see that in the Pacific Division. So yeah, I think the Oilers have a real good chance of winning the division, and all these bets I think have a decent chance of hitting the over. Like the lines are all set at really interesting spots. The thing that worries me with doing season long bets, and I've done a few of them now, it's just health, right? Because if a guy, pops out his shoulder and misses a month, like kiss your bet goodbye kind of thing.
That's why often bettors go over, because they get teased up because they think that the person is going to be more successful, but the Vegas odds are factoring in the fact that they could miss a few games.
Yeah. The other ones I have here, just because I'm in the mood to share. These are the ones I actually laid money on. Taylor Hall, I got him at 13.5 goals this year. That's criminally low. The dude scores 20 every year.
Yeah. I text you that bet that it was so crazy.
Yeah. I'm very happy you did that. I took David Pastrnak over 35.5. I'm not as confident in that one as the Hall one, but I think Pasternak's a machine and he'll be playing on that perfection line all year. Their power play will be sick. I like that one. Nathan McKinnon, I have him over 90.5 at all. These are even money, by the way, or close to it. McKinnon over 90.5 points. I think he's a 100-point guy this season. Like he's that good. I mean, health again, and
here's one for you, Tyler, before you get onto one of your last ones you picked. You talked about a guy like Crosby who's going to miss at least a month to start of the season. The sportsbook I'm looking at right now has his points total set at 76.5. That seems high for a guy who's going to miss 6 weeks or so.
That's an interesting underspot, actually. You're right. Like, I mean, there is a chance he's only out for like the first week or two of the year, in which case, he's still going to get into like 70 some odd games. But I mean, with no Malkin there, their offense could take a hit. I don't mind that as a potential underplay. The last one I had was, and my friends made fun of me because they were like, you were such a degenerate that you were betting on this man. But I have Anders Lee getting more than 38.5 points this year on Long Island. He's back. He's fully healthy. He's pretty much scored at that pace every year of his NHL career. He's just got to stay healthy. So it's basically a bet on Anders Lee staying healthy, but he's good. He's on their power play. He should get the 40-point mark.
If you're betting on futures, I want to hear about him. Mm-hmm. I want to hear about him. Hit us up, ON Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Also, since we're talking betting, our friends at PointsBet Canada, the Nation Network and PointsBet Canada launched a new partnership this week. And just yesterday, we launched the new season of Nation Drafts. So if you go to nationdrafts.com, go there right now. I'll give you a minute. Okay, thank you. You will see enter for free. You enter a team, you get a little player box. There's 4 guys in there. You pick your team, you follow them along. You have the chance to win some pretty amazing prizes, courtesy of our friends at PointsBet Canada. Go over there, nationdrafts.com. If you haven't played before, it's super simple. It's easy. And I challenge you. Do you think you can beat me? I doubt you can. Bag Milk Fantasy Warlord. That's my team name. Check it out. I want to know where you're at. Send me screenshots of your team. nationdrafts.com. Enter that this weekend. It's Thanksgiving weekend. You've got extra time. Maybe while you're watching football on Sunday, pop on over, nationdrafts.com. Enter your team. Enter to win all kinds of prizes. Boys, I hope you have your pencils sharpened. It is time for another round of Ask the Idiots, courtesy of our friends at busterspizza.ca. 11 locations in and around the city. Whether you're looking for some pizza, donair, whatever you want, they've got it for you. They've got some combos for you. They've got all kinds of delicious eats. busterspizza.ca. Find a location near you. Gentlemen, I've got my Ask the Idiots questions up. I've got my Zoom call up. Nation Dan is first up on my screen. So you get the first question for Buster's Pizza and Ask the Idiots. This is a little bit of a general one. So I'm going to say in points, just points, Dan. What is a good year for Kaler Yamamoto?
Well, if you believe my predictions, I would say 50, like 40, 50, somewhere in there would be my thing for Yamo.
Ricky, next up, ask the idiots, what's a good year for Yamo in terms of points?
This year, if he stays healthy and plays 82, it's 50, 55 points in there.
Tyler?
20 goals and 25 assists is a really good year for Yamamoto. If he cracks that 20 goal mark, I'd have no complaints about that production. 25 assists would probably go hand in hand with that. So I'll say 45 points is a good year for Yamo.
To wrap it up, I'm going to say if he falls anywhere within the 40 to 50 points, that's a very good year. And we should be happy with that, regardless of what the split is in terms of goals and assists. Next up, Tyler, you're first up this time. Ask the idiots, which Pacific Division opponent will be the toughest matchup? The toughest matchup.
I'm actually going to say it's the LA Kings. And I look at that team here. We saw last year in the North Division how, Philippe Deneau is a really, really good shutdown centerman. Yes. And the Oilers top six, no matter how you dice it up, will have to go up against Anze Kopitar and Philippe Deneau. And then you got, a good veteran like Dustin Brown in the mix there to try shut down and slow down the Oilers. And I mean, Drew Doughty and Alex Edler, if they played on the same pairing, those are both two guys who have been a thorn in the Oilers side for a long time. So I know a lot of people are going to say Vegas. I think Vegas might be more prone to some run and gun games, and that plays into the Oilers' favor, honestly. But I think LA could just be stingy and shut down. They're coached by Todd McClellan as well, and he knows a lot about McDavid and Draisaitl. They got some good shutdown players. I will say the LA Kings consistently give the Oilers tough matchups this season.
You know what? Since you said that, it kind of made me miss the Drew Doughty versus the Oilers matchups from the past years. He's just fun to watch. I don't know. I like when he chirps. I like when he gets in the mix. I don't know. I like it. Rick, toughest opponent or the toughest matchup in the Pacific Division?
I get where Ty's coming from. I just don't think anybody's quite close enough to Vegas to take that role. So I'm just going to take the easy one and just say, just because they are the second best team in the division, I think it's just Vegas for now. The other teams are right behind them, and I can see them pushing them, getting around them next year. But for now, it's still Vegas.
Dan?
I'll be different, and I'll say it's the Calgary Flames. And the only reason, not from a competitive standpoint, but just because they seem to get up for games against Edmonton more than most, and we get up for games against them, of course. But the thing is, for me, the challenge is just getting out of those games healthy, because those are some dirty little pieces. Anyway, so Calgary Flames, my most competitive matchup.
I'm also going to agree with Dan. I'm going to say Calgary Flames, not necessarily because of the team, but in those games, like Dan said, things kind of get out of hand sometimes, and the Oilers can find themselves in penalty trouble. And when that happens, that is always a concern. So that's why I'm going to say the Calgary Flames as well. We touched on him a little bit earlier in the podcast. So Rick, I'm starting with you. Question, ask the idiots for Buster's Pizza. Does Zack Kassian need to fight to be effective?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, he does. I think it helps get his game going. I think it helps just get the snowball going in his own type of game. I think we need that type of a player on the team still. There's still points in the game where it's needed and necessary. There's nobody else really on the team who's willing to do it or capable of doing it. I do not want to see Darnell in there. So, yeah, he's kind of the only one left. So, yes.
Nation Dan, does Zack Kassian need to fight to be effective?
Yeah, if you look at it like Rick is, I think, correctly looking at it, where it's just a necessary element to have on the team, especially when you have some skill. And Connor McDavid shouldn't have to be dealing with Lockwood messing around with him, or who's the Winnipeg defender that was up in his grill all the time?
Pionk.
Yes, Neil Pionk, that kind of stuff.
Pionk. So
for me, yes, Kassian needs to continue to fight. I just think that I'm with you, Bag Milk and Tyler. Just pick your spots a little bit better, maybe, and you should be fine. So yeah, I'd say it's a part of his game, and he needs it.
Tyler, does Zack Kassian need to fight to be effective?
He doesn't need to fight to be effective. I think he can be a good, third, fourth liner who mixes it up physically and brings you some offense without having to drop the mitts. But I don't expect that to happen. I think he's the kind of guy who likes providing his team with energy. And there's no denying that when he drops the gloves, it does give the team a boost. So I will say he doesn't need to, but I'm not exactly counting on him not fighting, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep, that's where I'm at too. I don't think he needs to fight to be effective. If he's running around hitting, mucking it up in scrums after the whistle, getting under people's skin. He can be very effective that way without fighting, but it's a part of his game. So it kind of is what it is, unfortunately, especially after he got injured last night. Moving along, Tyler. Ask the Idiots continues. How many games does Brendan Perlini play with the Edmonton Oilers this season?
How many games does Brendan play with the Oilers? Okay. 51. I'm going to say he's pretty much a regular. I think he'll get into a lot early on.
Are the games he's missing due to injury or a healthy scratch or a combination of both?
No, I think he'll eventually get moved in and out a little bit, but I think his strong preseason will buy him a little bit of time, and I think he'll stay on the roster all year. So there'll always be spots where it's like so-and-so's nicked up, Perlini's getting in. This guy had a knee problem this morning, Perlini's thrown in. He's got the offensive instincts, right? So I think you kind of want to keep that guy around, even if it is just as an extra forward, because he can skate hard, forecheck, be good in your bottom six, and then when there are those moments where it's shit, Puljujarvi is sick, can't play tonight. Okay, throw Perlini up there. He's got a good shot. He can keep up. Not the worst player in the world. Put him out there. So I'll say just north of 50.
Rick, how many games for Perlini in 2021-22?
I think probably Tyler's right around there. So we'll grab a different number. Let's call it 45. I do think he'll be in and out. He's going to be here. Probably he'll get nice stretches, and then there'll be some in and out for him. So yeah, right around the 45 mark, half a season.
Dan?
I'm going to say below 41. I think that I'm with Tyler and Rick's kind of wavelength of that he'll get a little bit of a leash to start the season, and then he'll probably just end up doing spot duty for, when Puljujarvi, is out for a week or that kind of thing up in the top six.
I will say that Brendan Perlini will play 82 games because he is the best player to wear an Edmonton Oilers logo. All right, next up, Ask the Idiots continues. Sticking with Brendan Perlini, this one's from the mailbag going up on Monday. Tyler, is Brendan Perlini the 2021 version of Ty Ratty?
No, he's not. And that's not me saying he's guaranteed to have success this year or anything like that. That's me saying they did it in different ways. Ratty came in and, was riding shotgun with McDavid, tapping in passes. How hard did I buy into the Ty Ratty hype? I traded William Nylander for him in one of my fantasy hockey leagues after the Oilers' final preseason game.
League?
No, not a keeper league. It was a redraft league.
Oh my God. Good for you.
Oh man, that is a sweet trade.
Yeah. But no, Perlini's not Ratty because he's not doing it with McDavid. He's doing it with the guys he'll actually be expected to play with this season. Also, you got to remember he is doing it against, on some nights it was American League competition, like against Seattle, right? So again, I don't think Perlini's scoring 25 goals this year or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, 30.
But I think he could be serviceable.
Pro tip: if you're drafting in a league against Tyler Yaremchuk,
make
draft
trades with
all
Tyler.
Oilers late on your bench and then trade them to him throughout the season.
Nation Dan, I'm coming to you. Is Brendan Perlini the 2021 version of Ty Ratty?
No, just because he's not, like Tyler said, he's just not playing on the top line. That's all it is. He's going to be an effective player when he plays on the ice. I think he doesn't necessarily play a big body game, but he does have that big body and has the instincts to pot some goals. So I think he's going to do just fine in our bottom six, something that we've been missing for a few years and have been able to kind of gloss over it because McDavid and Draisaitl are going supernova. But for me, it's a no, but it's because he doesn't need to be.
Rick?
It doesn't make for very good listening, but no. And I think the two guys already gave up all the reasons. It's, just no, it's not the same situation. He's going to be decent where he is, but not the same as before.
I'll wrap it up, say no, because Perlini is the most important player that the Oilers have had on their roster since coming into the NHL in 1979. Tyler, you're first up on this next question. We only got a couple here left for Ask the Idiots for Buster's Pizza. Tyler, your first impression of Cody Cece?
They got to insulate him, man. I'm not sure if right now, well, I know I'm not sure right now. I don't think he's a guy that can handle tough defensive minutes. If they brought him in to be an Adam Larson replacement, we need to have a sit down with the Oilers pro scouts because he is clearly not an Adam Larson replacement. Hopefully they can shelter him and he can find some success like he did in Pittsburgh. But I'll be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about that heading into the year. Cody Cece is the Oiler on the roster I am most nervous about heading into next season. And that answers that.
Rick, first impressions on Cody Cece.
I'm not looking at it too bad quite yet. I know that contract scares me. I do believe the Oilers think that I'm counting on Bouchard kind of taking that two right D role by Christmas or a little bit after. So this kid's going to be playing a third line role type of situation. It's preseason, so I'm not going to lose my mind too much about some of his play so far. I'll keep an open mind going forward. I don't like him as the number 2, but I don't think he's going to be there very long. I think he'll be okay in the long run. 4 years still scares me. This is like a 1 or 2 year contract type of person.
Nation Dan, tell me about Cody Cece.
Listen, everybody knows Cody Cece's mutter was not good in the preseason. His fodder wasn't good in the preseason, and he's not good in the preseason. It's okay. It's just the preseason. If we wanted to judge our defense based off of these preseason performances, we would not be having any of our NHLers, really. Nobody's had a really stellar preseason themselves. So I just think that Tyler's just, his fears are not unfounded because it's just the reality of the situation that Cody Cece over his career hasn't been, Taylor Hall trade worthy or anything like that. But I'm sorry, I had to throw it out there, but he's an Edmonton Oiler now, so we're excited to have him. But I just think the preseason is kind of, for these veteran guys, it's, I understand they're just going through the motions at this point.
Cody Cece for me is a mall Santa. He's given up pucks like they are candy canes. It makes me nervous, but it's preseason. Onward and upward. Next up, Nation Dan, we're reversing the order. First impressions on Duncan Keith.
Well, I've only seen the one preseason game with him. That's all he's played so far? Yes. Two so far. Or two. So I've only had a chance to really watch one of his games last night, and he did not inspire me in that one. He just looked dispassionate or whatever, however you say that. I like that he came over to help Kassian off the ice. That was good. But yeah, for me, it wasn't anything stellar, of course.
Rick, Duncan Keith.
I think he's had a rough first period, his first 2 games, and the second and third in both games were much better. I haven't seen anything too negative about him out there. Maybe that's just, I'm trying to find the good out of there because all you read everywhere is everybody is out down on him and everything. But watching him, I didn't think he really stood out negatively or positively. In which case, I think that's okay for a defenseman. He's only going to get better going forward, so I'm not worried about that guy.
Tie guy.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him. I'm not as concerned about him as I am about Cody Cece, just because, again, Keith is a good veteran. I think he brings those intangibles still, and it is the preseason. I think he's a guy who's obviously been in the league for a while, and he's just shaking off the rust right now. So I'm not concerned about Duncan Keith. I've kind of liked how well he moves the puck. It's nice, and I think when you got forwards who can move the way the Oilers group can, it's good to have a D-man back there who can sling hard, confident passes up the ice.
I forgot to mention Bagmo. Sorry. The one thing that Duncan Keith did this preseason that excited me the most was his compliments on this power play and how it's the best power play he's ever seen. Or I'm paraphrasing there, but I love that because that's super exciting for a guy that played on those Chicago Blackhawks power play monster teams to say that. It's pretty exciting.
My first impression is it's the preseason. I'm going to give the guy some leash here. But you could, at least in the first 2 games he's played, the wheels that I remember when I think of Duncan Keith aren't there anymore. And maybe that's just, again, he's getting older and fuck me. So am I. I'm sore right now. And I didn't even do anything today. So I'm hoping that as he kind of gets into game shape and gets more bats in, that we'll kind of see that fluid skater that I remember from Chicago. But I guess that's kind of the first impression. It's not a bad one. It's just something I noticed.
He's still a good skater out there.
Yeah, he's still a good skater. Of course. It's just, I just remember him as the guy who's a water bug for Chicago. You know what I mean? And I need to get that out of my brain because I know that's not necessarily the player he is, nor the one that the Oilers expect him to be anymore. All right, last question for Buster's Pizza. Ask the Idiots. Very last question, real quick, boys. How many games does Tyler Benson play with the Oilers this season? Rick.
Oh, this question hurts. I'm going to go with 25.
Damn. Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough for him to get going here. I don't think he's really taken a spot as we're getting through preseason here. Obviously, Perlini's going to rise above him because of the goals. I haven't disliked his game. He just hasn't been able to grab anything tangible out there. I still think there's a player there. It could honestly be Yeah, and then I don't see them putting him down. So he's going to roll around as a 13, 14 forward. So he's going to get some goals. He's going to get some games in there. I hope he can get going and he makes me wrong, but I don't see it being a whole bunch. I think it'll be right around 25.
Tyler, how many games for Tyler Benson?
51. I'm going to say a similar number to Perlini. I think the two of them might be interchangeable at points this year, and there'll be a handful of games that they both end up getting into. So I will say Benson plays just over half the year.
Mr. Nation Dan.
The Dave Tippett factor for me, I'm going to take Rick +1, so 26.
I'm going to be the downer on this one because of Dave Tippett loves his veterans, loves guys that have specific skill sets. As like, I know Tyler Benson kills some penalties down in Baco. I don't know if he's going to
don't really have those veterans in those holes though right now though. Like Perlini's not really a veteran.
Sure.
Shore's not really a veteran.
No, but you have a guy like, Zack Hyman kills penalties.
Yeah, but you're still going to need someone to play in the bottom six, or at least that bottom line, right? I'm just saying the guys who are going to be interchangeable. There isn't a Chase on there this time. There isn't. I could see them outplaying tourists. So I just don't see that whole veteran-y thing happening because I don't think there's any 35-year-old, 15-year veteran sitting there trying to get one of those roles. So he's going to be forced to play whoever kind of fits or practice or whatever the hell it is. I just don't think there's a lot of the Chiesons, those veterans out there to take those spots.
I'm going to say less than 20 games for Tyler Benson, and I hope I'm wrong. I love the kid. Last night, even, I was watching the game last night. He was throwing his body around every time he was on the ice. I loved the way he played last night.
That's got to be the stuff they want him to do, right?
Has to be. I just don't know if it's consistently there enough to be on a Dave Tippett roster on a nightly basis. So I hope I'm wrong because it's just a great story. I'd love the local kid to make the Oilers and contribute and all that, blah, blah, blah. I'd love all of it. So I hope I'm wrong. So there it is. Ask the Idiots for Buster's Pizza. Before we move on to hot and cold performers, I want to ask Tyler about something that I saw from the DFO rundown today. Is there more drama between the Habs and Hurricanes, Tyler? What's going on here?
So Frank Saravalli today on the DFO rundown told us that basically the NHL lets teams plan their own preseason schedules and they mandate that you have at least 6. The minimum is you need to have 6 preseason games, figure out who you're playing and when you're playing them. The Carolina Hurricanes only scheduled themselves 4, and the NHL didn't catch it until the Montreal Canadiens came through and blew the whistle on them and said,
they snitched.
They only have 4. Good. It was too late. The Hurricanes did not have to schedule more games, and there is apparently no punishment for doing this either.
Oh,
so the Hurricanes basically just got away with it. But it was the Habs who blew the whistle and said, "Whoa, those guys," who, by the way, just offer sheeted and took away Jesperi Kotkaniemi, those guys don't have enough games on the schedule.
They should have 2 less games on their regular season schedule now. Whoever they were playing for 2 games should just automatically get a win. That's my ruling. Judge Bagmilk. Make it so.
Why not?
Well,
why not?
I'm not a mathematician, but doesn't that mean that another team had less games too? I guess if somebody went with 7 or 8, then they might not factor that in. But
so basically what I've learned here is 1, the Canadians are snitches, which I, in this case I respect because I think the NHL needs more wrestling. So I like it. 2, we could have been done the preseason 2 games ago. That's what I've learned here today.
Well, dude, this is the Carolina Hurricanes cheating.
Oh, they're always.
Why we always want to feel good about these guys? Like, why can't we call them up for what they're doing? They're not following the rules. This has been a situation since 2006. I don't know why everyone sits there and wants to love them so much.
Hey,
I was just going to say that. I don't think anybody confuses you as liking the Carolina Hurricanes.
This is terrible. They need
Judge Bagno's rulings.
Iron fist. We need
They've
iron
lost
fist.
2 games.
Make them play those games and no points. I want them, they have to do something.
They have an inter squad game against themselves and no points are awarded except to the opponent.
And they have to block at least 37 shots each.
The other team is allowed to do the storm surge in Carolina when they win in Carolina.
I think that every penalty they take this year should be 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
3-minute power plays.
I was going 3.
3-minute power plays like it was run time and you were in free.
It's about time we treat this organization the way that they should be treated. The way they're not good people. They're terrible over there, and they deserve to have all the punishment.
They should have to deal with minor inconveniences. Actually, like again, going back to like that Danbury documentary where like
paper thin towels,
no cold showers. Yeah.
No skate sharpener.
They can only sit in economy on planes.
They only get
general public.
They only get orange Gatorade or whichever flavor is their least favorite.
No pillows in their hotel rooms.
Bag Milk and Dan might be the only ones who know what I'm referring to is, but the only way they can sharpen their skates is one of those big white machines.
I know what you're talking about.
Are they still around? Yeah. Okay.
I don't think they're still around, but I remember them.
That's the only way they get to sharpen their skates all year long.
Those machines, if you played minor hockey and you needed to have your skate sharpened, you might as well just take a fucking knife to the bottom of your blades and try to carve it out yourself, because those things were just a nightmare.
Go outside, grab a rock, and start chipping.
And while you're outside, Dan, I implore you to enjoy a cocktail courtesy of our friends at Deuce Vodka. Maybe it's a Caesar, maybe a Road Caesar in a Slurpee cup to go. Don't do that.
Yeah, do not do that.
Don't do that. Unless you're in Vegas, you're allowed to drink on the streets. Here, I still think I should be allowed to drink on the streets, but that's for a later date. Maybe as part of the upcoming mayoral election, I will try and put that on a platform somewhere. Okay. DeuceVodka.com. You'll see Brett Kissel right up front holding the bottle of Deuce Vodka. The Find In-Store button is right to the right of that. Just to the right. If you're looking left, not there. Other side of the screen. To the right. Gotcha. It shows you everywhere where you can buy Deuce Vodka here in Alberta. And if you're in Saskatchewan and you want a bottle, hit up sales at deucevodka.com. They will help you out, provided you are of legal drinking age and plan to enjoy responsibly. Got it? Good. Tyler, get your buttons ready. It's time for the Deuce Vodka Hot and Cold Performers. And as we do every week, we start with our veggies. Nation Dan, you're first up. Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week.
For me, it's going to be this propensity for all these teams to start streaming their preseason games instead of putting them on television. I was unable to watch any of the Oilers preseason games while I was in Vegas, and that made me sad. So for the broadcasters that decide that there's not enough juice to squeeze out of the preseason games, you get my Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
I got to admit, it was real nice to have the game just on TV last night. And I know the second game, I guess, against the Kraken was on TV, at least for me. It's way better. It's way better. Rick, you're up next. Deuce Vodka Cold Form of the Week.
Well, first, I think you just got to check like the NHL Center Ice package, because that's all free right now. So there's been a bunch of other games on that.
But they couldn't broadcast it in the sports books for me, sadly. That's where I want to watch it, on a big screen.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, anybody who watched TV last night, I honestly kind of like these situations for some weird ass reason, but it goes to Russell Wilson's finger. Did anybody catch that?
No.
Yeah, right? Like,
why do you sound so happy, Rick? I'm turned off by how happy you sound about it.
For some odd reason, I've always gotten a kick out of watching some of these things.
What the fuck?
Why? I don't know.
Hey, this is a safe space, Rick. It's okay.
We are learning more about Rick today than we thought we would know.
Rocket Ishmael, he was playing with the Vikings, I think. He got up and his like pinky or his ring finger was like pointed back in the wrong direction.
And Rick was like, hell yes.
Yeah, buddy, yeah.
His teammate just came up and like grabbed it and like hit it around his own stomach. He's like, yeah, don't look at this. I don't know why I kind of get a kick out of those things, but that finger was gnarly, man. That thing cannot be nice. It was bent on all sorts of weird shapes. Yeah, that can be the cold performer this week.
What the hell is going on?
Literally, what the hell is going on? More reasons than one here. You're next up, Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week once you recover from the broken finger talk. And how Rick apparently is some kind of sociopath and enjoys it.
I don't get it either, man. I don't get it.
It's like a pimple popper.
We haven't done
watched those videos too.
Oh, those are so gross. We haven't done a podcast since my beloved Toronto Blue Jays were eliminated. So the fact that the Washington Nationals on back-to-back days could not come out with late inning victories over the Boston Red Sox, and now the Red Sox get to play in the ALDS, that is depressing. It is not right. Baseball needs to fix their playoff system. It gets my cold performer of the week.
Are you thrilled? I'm not.
Just real quick, Tyler, you've got 30 seconds. What would you do to fix the baseball playoffs?
I would eliminate divisions. I would do 15 teams in the AL, 15 teams in the NL, and a perfectly balanced schedule. Right now, there are too many big market teams playing in the AL East. There's 3 of them. And there are other divisions where teams like the Chicago White Sox can coast through against a bunch of dog shit opponents. It's ridiculous. Balance the schedule, get rid of the divisions, have the top 5 or 6 teams make the playoffs and go from there. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. There you have it. Just before I move on from you, Tyler, how often is BGN Radio being recorded in the off season?
BGN Radio, we're going to do like probably about 1 a week. It's going to be pretty loose though. No set date. Just whenever Coombsy and I got takes or whenever we have someone who wants to come on the show, we'll record a pod and drop it. So make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Blue Jays Nation Radio, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. My Deuce Vodka Cole Performer of the Week is Nation Dan. I love you, buddy, but you got married without telling anybody. I want to come to Vegas. I want to bet on the ponies. I want to go to Taco Bell Cantina and celebrate Nation Dan's wedding. While I am calling him my Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week, he was my Hot Performer of the Week last week for getting married, but now he's here. So I can tell him, I wish I was there. And I'm jealous that you got to go to Vegas. And we didn't get to have fun with you on your wedding day. Despite me being happy for you, Nation Dan is my Cold Performer of the Week.
Oh, that's cold.
The party that's going to happen later is going to be worth all the wait. I promise.
Are we going to Vegas for it?
We'll see. We'll see what the plans bring.
Well,
congratulations again, buddy.
Thank you.
Very happy for you and Mandy. Happy couple, handsome couple. Saw all the photos. Check out the Danalytic on Instagram. Catch up with what's going on there that we were just not invited to. Again, Cold Performer of the Week, Nation Dan. All right. Deuce Vodka, Hot Performer of the Week. I'm reversing the order. Tyler, you're up first. Your Deuce Vodka, Hot Performer of the Week.
It has been a long time since the 4 of us have sat in a room to do a podcast together face to face, but that will soon be changing.
Yes,
because we can announce this is the final Friday where we will not be in studio recording Oilers Nation Radio. Next Friday, the 4 of us looking at each other in the brand new studio down in the River Valley, talking about regular season hockey, previewing a Battle of Alberta that will happen the next night. It absolutely does not get any better than this.
I can't believe it.
I'm excited to hear, you know what? I'm excited to hear Jack again. I miss Jack.
Yeah.
I miss Jack. Rick, you're next up. Deuce Vodka, Hot Performer of the Week.
Well, we're gonna go to the football pitch for this one, and Canada did something last night that they haven't done pretty much ever. I think they walked into Mexico and walked out of there with a draw. If you look at the games that Mexico has held in Mexico, look at their record, and it's all just World Cup qualifiers. It's absolutely it's ridiculous. The amount of wins they have is nuts. And there's very few draws and even less losses. So what they were able to do last night, go in there and get a draw and walk out of there. It's hats off to them. It's nice to see that the men's side of the soccer is starting to take off as well.
Pour it on.
I'm going to jump in here next because Nation Dan's my Cold Performer of the Week, so I'm making him go last. My Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week. I just want to give some love to Carey Price for stepping back into the NHLPA Player Assistance Program to take care of his mental health and his family first. I think that's very admirable. I think it's also a very good, he's a very good role model for people that may or may not feel okay talking about this stuff. So see Carey Price, one of the NHL's biggest names, stepping away to take care of himself first. I want to give him my Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week.
Put some respect on my name.
Finally, the secret keeper, the non-wedding Taco Bell Cantina inviter, the pony better, the married man, coming back to the podcast for the first time in a couple of weeks. Nation Dan, wrap us up. Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week.
Well, I appreciate you taking Carey Price off the board. A little hat tip also to Jonathan Drouin for also doing the same kind of thing, taking care of his mental health ahead of Carey there. But my Hot Performer of the Week is going to be a little bit selfish, and it's going to go to my wife, Mandy, for being for being part of keeping the secret. We had a lot of fun with the countdown that we did with little bits of Edmonton that we had gone on dates in and that kind of thing. including a Hockey Night in Canada legend in my little teaser video. That was fun with Bob Cole there. Getting married in Vegas without all the ceremony here, with of course COVID screwing up everything, was interesting. It was really neat to walk down the strip because everybody says congratulations to you because it's Vegas and that's what people do. And then to come back to all the social media messages, the messages from everybody else, you made us feel like rock stars. We really appreciated that. We had a lot of fun, teasing stuff and having fun with it, and appreciate you guys all sending love my way and our way. So my Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week is my wife Mandy for saying yes.
It's getting hot in here.
So when you posted that teaser video with Bob Cole, Dan, I was just like, I was on the phone with somebody, I don't remember, Jay or Wanye or maybe even Graham or whatever. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Dan got engaged. Oh no, it was Graham. It was definitely Graham. He's like, no, man, they got married. Those are wedding bands. You don't buy those unless you're married. I was just like, that motherfucker got married in Vegas without us.
Yeah, so we'd been planning it for about 4 or 5 months. We just, we agreed to do it, and so it was a whole plan. But yeah, there was no engagement or anything. It was just that teaser, and then Mandy posted our photo that we were married right afterwards. And you weren't allowed bag milk. Some people thought it was just an engagement announcement, but we had some fun with it.
I think the most important part of Dan's wedding is that he realized how selfish the rest of us are and how we just wanted to be included.
Yes,
it's the most important here. I haven't had Taco Bell Cantina in almost 2 years now, and it's driving me crazy. Again, congratulations to Dan and Mandy.
Steal from a Chick-fil-A.
You two allegedly, in your opinion, that happened. I don't know. I've never seen anything quite like that before in my life, personally, at Chick-fil-A. Oilers Nation Radio, episode 161. I didn't get into any reviews this week, but I knew we got some fresh ones. Keep hitting us up with the reviews. I'll read some next week. I'll get caught up. I promise you. Whether you like us, whether you hate us, I just want to know your feedback. What can we do better? Maybe just insert yourself in the podcast with a hot take you want me to read in the old reviews. Whatever you want, I shall read it. And for our friends at DoorDash, Sherwood Ford, Cornerstone Insurance, Deuce Vodka, and Buster's Pizza, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Tell your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you got around you. Oilers Nation Radio comes out every Friday. Next week, we are in the studio, boys. I'm looking forward to seeing you. That's all for this week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Shout out Uwe Krupp.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, delivered by DoorDash. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.